So here we are then with episode 2 of the Always Moving Forward podcast, and it's really good and quite a straightforward person to have on the podcast today, because this is Hanna. Hanna is my wife. We've been together over 15 years and married for almost 15 years. So
yeah, we weren't together long before we got married, were we?
That is true. And like quite a few things we've done since, we kind of plunged headlong into it, life together. And that's Finley moving the whole setup. We have our kids and our crazy dog, who's going to have to come and join us, else we won't be able to do this. And as I talked about on the first episode, I've done lots of things in life, and fortunately the last 15 years has included Hanna doing them with me, encouraging me, stopping me from doing silly things sometimes. And yeah, here we are to just talk about, in a sense, whatever comes up.
What he's saying is we have no plan.
There is always a little plan. A little planning tends to go a long way, which it kind of does for us, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So really the podcast came out of us just doing a Facebook Live pretty much every morning from just about the time the lockdown in England started.
Yeah.
So
which can I just say, Mark didn't actually give me any pre-warning about. He was like, we're going to do this thing called morning coffee.
Yeah.
And so I need you downstairs to be live by 7 a.m. I was like, mostly people got me in my pyjamas.
Most of the time it worked really well.
Yeah, it did.
In the sense of there was... the whole world became digital, so there was the information kind of, everyone got used to sharing information that way.
Yeah, totally.
And it was really good in terms of, I think for some people, just giving them connection to somebody else at times, you know, and we just talked about kind of whatever we thought at the time, didn't we?
Yeah.
And what we really tried to get across was that lockdown wasn't easy for us, or we realised that clearly it wasn't easy for lots of people in lots of different ways, and to feel like we helped contribute to a bit of connectivity and a bit of community was really good.
Yeah, it was.
And that's what some of our kind of joint things being married's been about. But here we are, we're coming out of the other side of the pandemic. We are now in Northern Ireland, and
because we don't do things by halves, we move country mid-pandemic, mid-shutdown, lockdown.
Yeah, we managed to move in a time when you could.
Yeah, we were allowed.
Could move, and yeah, here we are. So, why Northern Ireland, Hanna?
Oh, goodness. Okay.
That's a what a place to start. We'll start at the end and go backwards, I think.
Sure. Why not? Why Northern Ireland? Well, Northern Ireland for lots of reasons. Lifestyle with the kids, being able to bring the kids up in a way that we've talked about for a long time. Mm-hmm. It's a beautiful place, outdoors, beautiful people. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, not that England isn't beautiful with beautiful people also, obviously, of course, but...
Yeah. So we had talked about moving from where we were in Bradford for a long time. Probably you more advocating for it for longer. And this is often what happens with us, is our kind of warm up to an idea of Hanna's. It takes me a bit of time, whereas, as I was saying before, I have ideas and then just drop them on Hanna, and it either works or it doesn't, whereas Hanna's a little bit longer term focused and works on me for longer.
Yeah, but I think that's out of necessity.
Okay.
Because if I just dropped stuff on you, you wouldn't do it. Whereas you drop stuff on me and I'll do it. So that's why it works.
It does.
I have to do a long warm-up because otherwise nothing would happen.
And you're also well known for, within like the family and friends, of being able to research things.
Yeah, I am like the queen of Google.
Yeah.
100%.
That's one of the... out of all the things that have kind of been invented on the internet, is Pinterest the best thing? One of the best things.
One of.
Yeah.
obviously one of. Like, I don't think that's really even a question. Surely.
So, yeah.
How else do you plan stuff,
Yeah. Inspiration
Yeah.
and creativity mixed into one. That's a very good thing for you, definitely. So going back a little bit further, coming out of the pandemic, we talked about lots of things during the pandemic that we in a sense kind of realised that we missed, or things that were good. And you're someone that really works well in terms of drawing people together, community-wise. How was the lockdowns and pandemic changed that for kind of what
community?
you think? Yeah.
I don't know really. I think I've always really believed in community. I think community has the potential to make people's lives a lot better.
Yeah.
I think we, as a kind of Western society, we have become more and more insular and isolated from each other. So we go to work, we go home, we're on social media, and so we feel like we're connected, but we're not really connected. We're that kind of slightly fake connected where we only see the best side of each other.
Yeah.
And actually, I think that the major lockdowns really pointed out just how much people need community, just how much we need each other. And I don't think, like, for me, that wasn't a new thing to realise, but it highlighted it so much. The amount that people struggled with their mental health and with stuff that generally maybe wouldn't have been a struggle was, really marked. And I think, I understand why the powers that be, felt that it was necessary to put us in multiple lockdowns. But I think the knock-on implications of that, in terms of what that's done to people's mental health, it has been massive. And part of that, I believe, is due to that level of isolation and that disconnect from other people.
Yeah. And I think in the work that I was doing, working in the gym, and then not having that, I was still doing lots of fitness with videos and things like that. So in a sense, it didn't feel like I became disconnected from the gym and that the kind of fitness world. But for a lot of people, things like the gym are the only places to connect, come with other people other than kind of home and work. And to lose that for a significant period of time has that knock-on effect. People being able to get back into that, Northern Ireland is pretty friendly, but it's not necessarily any friendlier than England. But how kind of friendly people are, because there's kind of that mutual, it's like a low level kind of celebration of, it's really good to be doing these things.
We can be back doing normal life.
It's good to be able to just like nod your head and smile at someone.
For sure.
Which we talked about in the early part of the first lockdown, how it actually created quite a lot of suspicion of other people, and like not being, people wearing face masks for the first time for lots of people. Unless you've kind of worked in a medical setting. We're not people that were wearing face masks, not like in kind of Southeast Asian countries where they do that because of pollution and things like that. Anyway, it's more part of normal life, and the whole kind of being told to keep apart, and are you too close with your trolley at the supermarket to someone, and it was a strange time.
It was really strange.
Sometimes English people are the opposite and aren't known for being that friendly, and it kind of was like, actually, I do prefer being able to communicate well. I do prefer that I don't feel like I'm almost have to keep these distances and be really cautious about everything that I do. It would be better if I could just say hello to the cashier and all those sorts of things, and not be kind of rushing and being careful. So, like you say, there's big lessons in that around community and friendship and relationships and maintaining that.
Yeah, and I think the thing is the online stuff was brilliant, and being able to connect with people online was really, really good. Obviously, not everybody could access that as easily. So there are a lot of people who still just didn't have that. You know, we were really lucky the amount of connection that we were able to have, but there is something about physically being with another person and physically touching another person, and you know, like not in a weird way, but just being able to give somebody a hug, or if someone's struggling. You know, I remember walking past people and, you know, like you'd see a kid like fall over and think, if I go and help that kid and their parent sees, am I going to get into trouble because of all of this? Like, can I physically help another person? And that, I think, was huge. And it's only now really that people are starting to be, you know, in England you can hug and, you know, that kind of thing. But it's proven the impact that physical touch has for people.
Yeah.
And the level of trust that can build, you know, safe environments with people that you know well. Being able to have physical proximity actually builds trust and builds healthy relationships.
Yeah.
And not having that has had a huge impact on people. And I think actually the flip side of that is what happens is we then struggle to go back into that.
Yeah.
So we have missed it, and we've missed being able to see people, and we've missed being able to go out to stuff and, go out to the pub or go for a walk. Well, you can go for a walk, but you know what I mean, like be with a bunch of people. But actually now, it can be that is really daunting after a year of not really seeing people, or certainly very limited, only seeing the same people, that being exposed to lots of people again can be super daunting. And people can feel under quite a lot of pressure, I think, to go out and see people, be back at the gym just like normal, and then go out with friends, or, see people kind of Friday night, Saturday and Sunday, and then go back into work on a Monday. And actually, for a lot of people, that's too much.
Yeah, alongside the other things that I've done, I've got a bit of a kind of scientific background, and like, you see when they do stimulus experiments to investigate what happens if you kind of take one of the stimulation from one of the senses away, and how the other senses are heightened, and then the opposite, if you overstimulate, then it creates a kind of fear of that stimulus. So it might be kind of noise. So if you've watched SAS Who Dares Wins, and they use the kind of noises around the interrogation towards the end of it to see who can kind of take it and things like that.
Who can take it?
Yeah, who can take kind of like the animal noises and those sorts of things that they put in their headphones continuously. It is like that kind of, we want that interaction, stimulation again, of being with other people, but at the same time there has been that kind of level of fear built up of, or that unfamiliarity is built back up.
Yeah, it's just a lot for people, I think, to suddenly, unless you're like you, and
but that, even then,
Mark loves being with people.
I do love being with people, but I like to recharge either on my own or just with Hanna, or like really kind of just with
we
Hanna
send the kids out,
Not even that, just with Hanna and the kids. Kind of like, I like having wide interactions, and then kind of bringing it back down to kind of settle down and refocus again, or else I'd just be energy all the time.
But that's the thing, isn't it, that actually everyone is different. And I think something that I've been thinking about a lot recently is how everybody is different, how people managed the pandemic was different, what you needed was different, how people manage going back into a more normal, in inverted commas, life is different. What people can cope with, people's capacity is different, and you can't expect the same of everybody. actually, I think something that I have noticed, and it might just be that I'm noticing some real negative stuff, I don't know, super depressing. But something I've noticed is how picky people are being each other. You know, on social media, there's so much where somebody says something somebody else doesn't like, and everybody is on that person, or you disagreed with me, and everybody is like being really mean, or the expectation that everybody should be vaccinated. And I'm not like anti-vax or anything like that, but I am pro people having a choice, whether that's with that or with anything, that we all get to have our own way of viewing things. And actually that sometimes it's a process of working something out. You know, I was talking to somebody and they'd said that a family friend of theirs was really not wanting to get the vaccination, and then they processed through some stuff and they worked through some stuff and different things that they'd been thinking about, and then they decided that they were going to get it, and they got so much hassle for saying they weren't going to get it, and then they got so much hassle for saying they were going to get it because they changed their mind. And it's like, goodness gracious, like we are all different, and how we see the world and what we need is different. And I think if anything, what we've learned from the whole of this last year is actually the need to love each other and to be kind to each other, even if we don't agree. Even if somebody is doing something differently to you. It doesn't mean that if you disagree with them, that you hate them. It just means that you're a different person.
And a different opinion on that one small thing. And I mean, I purposely kind of present the fitness business in the way that I present it, in the sense of I try and it's encouragement, it's as good information as I currently have about certain topics. I'm not one of these other kind of influencers that have got great audiences and a great message that, in a sense, say something controversial to start the conversation. But that does mean that then I end up kind of either writing in terms of posts and things like that, or when I'm doing my videos, saying, kind of talking round things so much, because things aren't black and white.
No.
And trying to kind of communicate this is kind of my main point, but I understand there's these different ways of viewing it. And it's almost like you've got to justify that. I don't do Twitter, I don't really understand it, and I think sometimes Twitter's kind of the worst place for the social media stuff because it's limited in how much you can type. But I do feel that that's why Twitter gets as heated as it does at times, because you can only put kind of the exact point you're going to make, the soundbite exactly. And also, we've just been saying about not being able to see people. You don't then get the kind of the body language. You don't get the to see someone's face as they're communicating. You don't get to see the kind of where they're coming from. Comes a lot more from the other methods of communication than just what is written down, and that makes it makes the world very black and white, like you're saying. And because everyone are different, we filter things in different ways. We've got different experiences, we've got different opinions, and I've used this example before, in the fitness context of if 5-10 different fitness professionals, personal trainers, coaches, whatever, were asked kind of what's the best way to achieve X goal, they'd all have 10 slight variations of the same principles. But that doesn't mean they disagree, it just means they've got a preference of methodology and a slightly different opinion about how something could be done. I think it's become very easy to kind of then dismiss out of hand that person's view and opinion. And that's just in that small area. So it's understandable that being separate and just having those sound bites and not be able to communicate with people, coming back together, actually the communication side of it is very, like, for me, I don't want to be too kind of confident. Well, overcompensating confidence is what I've got. is with people, because they might not be ready for it.
Yeah.
And at the same time, you also want to be friendly and encouraging, which I don't find it too difficult behind a mask. I think the main place we've seen it is with the kids. Coming to Northern Ireland, meeting new people, going and doing new things. They're both quite outgoing once they are confident in the situation and context that they're in. But with them having a mask on and other people talking to them having a mask on, they're a bit like they come across a little bit shy and a little bit nervous, which they're not like that.
Well, Levi's definitely not, no.
But, no, definitely not. But it's created that kind of little barrier at the moment, I think. And as confidence grows generally for all of us, and as we potentially have to wear masks less and less in less and less places, if things get better, we can communicate better. I don't think there's many things more valuable than a smile.
Yeah.
So
you have to smize.
Smize. Yes.
Smile with your eyes.
And with working in schools again, I've been trying my best. You see, you do it really well. I've been trying my best. But I am aware that sometimes I can be quite a deadpan. And therefore, it might look like I'm actually
just annoyed.
Really annoyed. But I'm not. I've just got my mask on.
It's just to switch his face off.
Relaxing my face.
Yeah.
I'm just not using any of the muscles at that time. So I have found myself actually really trying to smile behind my mask to make it look like I'm smiling.
You get a face ache.
Because when you're in a classroom with up to 30 kids, that have been sometimes since working in schools here, then you've got to try and communicate like that. And I've also found myself used to feel like I really used my voice quite a lot when I was teaching before, but not all the time. But with some of the bigger classes for some of the days, you really feel like you've had to shout because you're aware that you're talking through a layer of cloth.
Which shouldn't be a big deal. Like, it's just a bit of cotton, But actually, the amount of times I feel like I have to say things multiple times, and I think I enunciate fairly well.
Well, I don't, so
you don't,
I really have to.
I have to ask you to repeat yourself multiple times normally.
That's true. That is true. So, we say, let's value community.
Yeah.
And what that means in terms of our individual and collective kind of well-being.
Yeah.
I've done videos before, we've done videos before around mental health and things like that. But relational stuff can really help overall.
Yeah. I think there's been a real push on social media, but just in general, to say to people, be yourself. Be prepared to be yourself. Like, who you are is good enough. Who you are is beautiful. And actually that's amazing, but we also need to be prepared to let other people be themselves.
That's good.
And you can't just, like, yes, it's great. I want to be myself, but I can't expect Mark to also be like me. I need to allow him to be himself and to celebrate that. And, not always to agree, not even always to understand, but to always be kind.
Yeah. No. I think in our relationship, that's worked pretty well. But then other times it has been like, I don't know why you want to do that, or why you like that. But at the same time, I think it's taken the 15 years, and it will take another 15 years, and for another 15 after that. That's the great thing about being married, that you've got plenty of time to work these things out.
Yeah, you don't have to get it all done on week 1, eh?
No. Gosh. That's a good thing.
Yeah, goodness. Year 1 was a nightmare.
Yeah, I think if I had any advice about being married, it would be to just take it as it comes in the initial stages. Year 1, 2,
10.
and just 10. Just be really kind to each other, whatever happens.
It's the same thing though.
And be prepared to say sorry.
Yeah, but it's just communicate.
Yeah.
Be yourself. Allow them to be themselves. Communicate. And be kind.
Yeah.
There you go. Marriage locked up.
There you go.
What?
There you go. And the outworking of that, actually putting that into practice,
It's messy
is
and painful.
really messy and painful because
and beautiful and lovely.
totally, yeah,
and all those other good
and
things.
you can have beautiful children, just like as in if you're applying that, work it with your kids as well.
Okay, I get what you're saying now.
Teaching your kids to communicate well what they need, how they're feeling. Particularly for me, I found that really difficult getting married. Like, I don't know, I expected you to read my mind, or that you would just...
I'm good at lots of things, but psychic I'm not.
Know what I thought and felt about things, and not tell you, like, after we'd done it, I didn't like that, or didn't it? Was it?
Yeah.
Did you not know I wasn't going to enjoy doing that walk, having that food? Like, well, I mean, not food. I like food.
You like all food.
I like all food. Unfortunately, I mean, you've always been amazing at cooking, although I am great at cooking too.
You can cook. I would beg to differ whether you're great at it.
Oh, so I can knock up a meal.
You're really good at cooking
it.
steak.
That's it. Yeah. Have a few.
I appreciate the steak.
I think, guys, maybe have 3 to 5 things you're good at cooking.
Guys.
Know your strengths. No, because
all people.
All people, yeah. So a good friend of ours, really, it's slightly older than us, him and his wife, amazing couple, great friends of ours, but he never really cooked, just because of their whole family kind of context, 4 kids, business, all this sort of thing, and he works a bit less now, and he decided to learn to cook.
Yeah.
And now got good, really good, gets his recipes up on his iPad, off he goes. Great, eh?
Yeah.
Bit of practice. Yeah, when we've eaten, it's always been kind of the second attempt. He's always practiced first as well, which is...
Didn't realise that.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, most of the time. It's never kind of just this is the first go, see how it happens.
Don't know how this is relevant to anything, but it's good.
It's to do with the communication we were just talking about. And marriage. Gosh.
Sorry.
Where had you gone to there?
Miscommunicated there.
On that then, let's do some little quick funny things.
Okay.
I'll just drop this one on you. What's my current worst habit? Because I know there's been ones before, previous
Your
ones.
current worst habit?
Habit.
Okay, so I don't even have to think about these things, right? There's 2.
Right.
The 2 current worst habits. We've got sliding doors on our wardrobe. And for some bizarre reason, you always, or no, you shouldn't use the word always, a lot of the time, you leave the sliding door open. You get your things out of the wardrobe and then you leave the door open. It's just very weird. Also, with the doors, toilet door. So now, in this house, it's like was built in the 50s, and there's the bathroom and then the toilet is separate.
Yeah.
But it's a bungalow. So it's not like upstairs and you've left the toilet door open.
I mean when I'm in it?
No.
Or when I come out of it?
No, you come out and then you just leave. We've got 2 animals. The toilet door's open. You've been to the loo. It just feels really unhygienic. And,
Could I just quickly on this, coming back?
You shouldn't have asked me that, should you?
No, the wardrobe thing is the doors really slide. No, they slide really fast. And the bash. Okay, so if I don't want to bash it.
Then don't slide it so fast. It's not something that I struggle with.
Going back to the first house that I bought with my friend Dan, we had really cool open hanging system from IKEA.
That's not like what we've got now.
No, but it just reminds me of it, so that's why I like leaving the door open.
So lame.
And the toilet door's not me, it must be the kids.
No, it's 100%
It's not me. It's the
Very
kids.
definitely you.
Okay, favourite superhero?
Favourite superhero is Batman. No, okay. Favourite superhero is Iron Man.
Yeah.
Because essentially, and Batman, can I have 2?
Yeah, you can.
Okay.
There's a similarity, I know you were going to say.
Because they're basically, they don't really have superpowers. They're just guys who have cool kit and have worked their backsides off to be able to be good at what they do.
Okay.
And they kick ass and take names, and they hold their own amongst people who have actual superpowers. I love it.
That's quite cool. That is a good reason. You know, it shows that actually working hard, using your intellect and the skills you've got can take you a long way in life. Well, take you a long way in comic books. Anyway, but that's transferable to life. Yeah. Okay. I know you wanted to say another one here.
Yes.
Who's your favourite anti-hero / hero?
Is Harley Quinn. Because she is epic.
Yeah.
And I feel an affinity. Now, if I say I feel an affinity with Harley Quinn, it makes me sound like I'm...
Bit cuckoo.
Yeah. But I think I really feel for her. She had this really hard situation, and then she turned into a crazy killer. But really, she's
like good
she's
deep down
sweet
inside.
Deep down, she just needs
You find
therapy.
that really resonates with you, doesn't it?
She just, I think I just want to take her for a cup of coffee and have a deep, meaningful chat. Help her process through all her pain.
There you go. That's really you in a nutshell, isn't it? Tea or coffee?
Coffee.
Okay, that was definitive.
Always. No, I like tea, but if it was like one for the rest of my life, coffee.
Yeah. Okay. Are still on drinks? Cold day drink.
My best cold day drink.
Mm-hmm. To warm up.
Oh, okay. Huh. Okay. If it's a cold day, probably a hot chocolate or a cup of tea.
Right. Okay.
Neither of which are coffees. But...
And the tea would come into it. Best really hot day drink, like we've had a few of them recently. In terms of the hot days, not necessarily the drink.
I mean, yeah. I guess that depends if it's like alcoholic or non-alcoholic. If it's non-alcoholic, then honestly, just like a really good glass of proper sparkling water with ice and lime.
Yeah.
And if it's an alcoholic drink, a really good big glass of tonic water with ice and lime and gin.
Yeah, there we go. Good stuff. Really good. Then favourite last one. No, we're going to do that one.
What? Is this when you asked me about Crocs again? Because honestly...
Oh, right, okay, talk about Crocs. Just finish this podcast, we're talking about Crocs.
Okay. I understand that they're comfortable. I get that. I appreciate comfort. Okay? But they are ugly. There is no getting around. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to offend any Croc lovers that there may be. But they are just... I don't care how comfortable they are. There's other options in life. And then they became this like fashion thing. And I'm like, just because something is fashionable doesn't mean it's not still ugly.
Would you put...
I have strong Croc opinions.
Strong Croc opinions. We did say the other day you can see how Crocs might be useful for going
throwing.
Going into the garden when you've got something quick to do. Or...
Yeah, but so are flip-flops.
Okay, fair enough. Would you put Crocs...
Boots, anything.
And this is quite a Bradford thing for us. Put wearing Crocs in the same category as going to the shops in your pyjamas.
Oh, not quite. Crocs are not quite as bad as going on the school run in your jammies or to... I know plenty of
school run, I just said...
Right, I know plenty of people do. People I love do, right? But I don't know. I'm just like, there are clothes that you wear to go out in life in, and there are clothes that you wear to go sleep in bed in. They are not the same. Okay, separate them. Get 2 different drawers. Only go in the one drawer for the things that are for the day.
So, I mean, the difference really between some pyjama bottoms and joggers is very minimal.
Okay, so
but it's distinctive enough that you should.
Yeah, but I'm talking about like proper pyjamas. I saw somebody out in like their dressing gown. That's just no.
Okay. Well, that's good.
Lounge
that's
pants
really good.
is a slightly grey area.
So, community is great.
As long as you dress.
It's okay to have different opinions and
except for if your opinion is
at the shops.
Yeah, if your opinion is Crocs or wearing pyjamas to the shops, then you're wrong. But other than that, we should all love each other.
Definitely. That's been great. Really good. It reminded me of morning coffee. That's
Yay.
Good. So, this podcast will be wherever you're listening to it. And if you're watching it, that'll be on YouTube. So it'll be on Spotify and all the different places and through Anchor. And we'll also put together some merchandise or merch, as Levi likes to call it.
Oh goodness, with the slang.
We've got merch. So I will put the link for the website for the t-shirts, jumpers and hoodies that we've got, which are from a great company that everything's all organic, and they recycle t-shirts to make the new t-shirts. Really, really cool. And when you go on the website, there's kind of our portal of their website. There's videos there that show you the kind of manufacturing process, just short little clips, and it's really, really cool. And they do lots of conservation work as well. They do months where if you buy a t-shirt, they plant some trees, and they do lots of campaigning with plastics in the sea. So it's great, so it's not just about having a t-shirt, it's about, you also do something good for the environment. So that's really good. So that's the few always moving forward logo things on some garments. And garms. If you would like to find anything out about MW Fitness, website is mwfitness.net, and on social media, MW Fitness and MW Fitness PT.
Yep.
There we go. Thank you for joining us for episode 2, and Hannah will be on again soon, because if no one else wants to come on the podcast, and I don't want to just keep on talking myself, you're always generally available for great advice and talking about things.
Basically, I'm near and I have opinions on stuff, is what you're saying.
That's great. I mean, next time I'm just going to wind you up and send you on one of your rants. It'd be great. So there we go. Thank you for listening to the Always Moving Forward podcast. You can find more information about MW Fitness at www.mwfitness.net, and all our links to social media are there too.